In the top stories, the Prime Minister gives update on new climate-smart hospital, Commissioner of Corrections retires, and Minister Philip calls for change to prison program. The details on these stories and more after the break.
In cricket, there are a few essentials. A bat, a pitch, a ball, some fielders, and plenty of refreshments. Enjoy the cricket with Angostura Chill. Angostura Chill, the official refreshment partner of the Hero CPL T20.
Start the new year right with extra cash when you take your next Quartz Ready Cash loan. Get $100 Quartz Cash with your $5,000 loan and double the rewards with your next loan of $8,000 or over. Get your loan now and pay nothing down and get 30 days to make your first installment. Plus, hassle-free service, flexible payment terms, and 24-hour approval. All you need to apply is your ID, proof of address, payslip, references, and a job letter. Let's ring in the new year with some extra cash from Quartz Ready Cash. Conditions apply. Quartz Ready Cash. We are ready when you are.
Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. I'm Carla Barrage. Prime Minister Honorable Dr. Terence Drew hosted the media for the second in the series of special interviews on key matters of national importance on Thursday. Questions asked and answered ranged in topic, including health, the poverty alleviation program, inter-Caribbean travel, national security, and the Prime Minister's most recent meeting with CARICOM leaders in the Bahamas. In the area of health, the Prime Minister announced plans for the construction of a new hospital, which he said is not a choice but a necessity. He said the plan is to build a technologically driven climate-smart hospital.
With this new hospital, we'll be able to serve our people much better. We'll make sure that it is modernized. And we want this hospital to be accredited as well. With the changes in the climate, and all of us are aware of climate changes, we are expecting stronger hurricanes. We are expecting more dry seasons. We're expecting also the insidious changes that will take place. So therefore, the hospital that we have, based on what is taking place with the climate, it is not in good state to withstand that. So this is not even a choice that we have in the matter.
He said the decision for the new hospital comes as the scope of work for the upgrades required at the JNF General Hospital would cost approximately the same amount as a new hospital. The Prime Minister noted that the government already has a reliable source of funding available for the hospital that is expected to cost over $23 million.
We have an estimation of a cost of it with everything. One of the costs that were given to us was $23 million to build the hospital without the equipment, and with the equipment could be another $10 to $15 million. We are looking at various sources of funding. One of them, of course, is a concessionary loan, which we are considering, very low interest, with a grace period of about 3 to 5 years, and the payment plan is very, very affordable. That is one of the things that we are looking at this point in time. We'll seek donations also to help us to do that. So we have already we have a good source of funding already of about $50 million, which is a good concessionary loan, which gives us that period of time in which we can pay it back.
Prime Minister Drew also disclosed a possible site for the new hospital with approximately 15 acres of available land.
That land is virgin land, nothing has been built on it before, and where the land is most appropriate is right in front of the medical school, nursing school. You have Ross University. So the plan is to create what you call a healthcare hub right there, and we will build a research lab also. So when you get into that space, you're in a healthcare hub.
The Prime Minister said the hope is that the new hospital will also be used to serve neighboring islands, thereby attracting new persons to St. Kitts and Nevis. Commissioner of Corrections Terence James is now on pre-retirement leave as of 1st March. Franklin Weatherman Dorset, former Superintendent of Prisons, has taken up the head position of His Majesty's prison as acting commissioner of corrections. Mr. James has served the Federation for the past 36 years, where he served 32 years as a police officer and attaining the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police responsible for operations. In a statement, Commissioner James said he recalled that making the transfer to the prison was a tough decision, as he had no experience in running a prison, but his discipline, experience, and training gave him the tools to manage the prison, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. In his statement, Mr. James said, quote, "I just want to say a heartfelt thank you to my staff at HMP who gave me the overwhelming support during my time there. I also want to thank my former colleagues in the Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force, where I would have gotten my foundation in law enforcement. As I embarked on my other journey of retirement, I asked the Lord for continuing good health and strength during my retirement," end quote. Junior Minister responsible for Social Development and Gender Affairs, Honorable Iselene Phillip, has advocated for changes to be made to the work program at His Majesty's Prison, which would grant certain rights to female inmates currently enjoyed by males. During her appearance on the debut edition of In Focus, the new St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, SKNIS television and radio program on Wednesday, Minister Phillip said that women inmates should be given equal privileges.
One of the things for our prison program is that, we try to engage the women just like we would for male inmates in terms of skills development, educational development. Women are supported in terms of doing little crafts and those kinds of things. It could be an opportunity for women to leave the prison to display what they can do, and also to have opportunities to contribute to community development as we have the male inmates doing. Why can we not have women go out and do some of the gardening beautification of our roundabouts? We see our men going out and doing painting in certain offices. Why can women not also get opportunities to develop those skills? There is no reason in this day and age as to why that policy still exists.
She noted that the Department of Gender Affairs ran a program for women in prison, which highlighted several gender inequalities, such as women being unable to go outside the prison to perform community service. This, she said, is an example of gender inequality. Minister Phillip briefly explained the difference between gender equality and gender equity.
So when we think about the difference between gender equity and gender equality, I'll start with gender equality. So we think about equality as being able, both males and females, men and women, being able to access the same rights and privileges that have typically been ascribed legislatively, systematically, institutionally. Now, historically, when it comes to the women's movement, the feminist movement, it was really advocating for equality, because we know there was a time when women were not allowed to vote, where women were not allowed to go to school, where women were not allowed to access just what was standard ascribed rights and privileges in society just by virtue of the fact that they were female. When it comes to equity, we want to think about how we can actually achieve equality when it was denied historically for years. So equity is about...
Minister Phillip used, for example, the fact that there are fewer women in representation and leadership, noting that the initiative taken by the Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, to, quote, appoint women in leadership positions is an effort to be more equitable in terms of the distribution of power and resources, end quote. The Federation is currently preparing to conduct the Carib Wave 2023 Tsunami exercises to assess the country's preparedness in the event of a tsunami. That is according to Divisional Commander for District B and liaison between the police force and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Superintendent Lyndon David, who was speaking during ZIZ Radio's program Fire Talk on Tuesday. The Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, IOC, provides countries with 2 scenarios from which to choose and carry out the exercise. Superintendent David outlined these scenarios.
Okay, these scenarios will have simulated for Carib 23. We have each participating country will select the scenario that best fits their objectives. The first scenario simulates a tsunami generated by a magnitude of 7.6 earthquake located on the Gulf of Honduras. The other one, the second one, is where a tsunami is caused by a flank collapse of the Mount Pele volcano.
He noted that invitations for participation are being sent out to businesses in the Carib Wave exercise zones.
Invitations are being sent out currently to various institutions who will be in the exercise zone. The exercise zone will be from Sandown Road, go up to the Cenotaph. That's from east to west. North to south now we have the Bay Road, and I think we might protrude a bit up to Central Street. If not Central Street, we can go along. We have below that we have Fort Thomas Road and them there, where we could have that. But I more believe that we go up to thick. But we will touch some person that we never touched before, because we've been running these exercises for quite some time.
He explained that this year's exercise has two components, a virtual briefing and a partial evacuation exercise.
The virtual, here's where, as I mentioned briefly, where employers and employees will explain their emergency plans
and procedures,
what they will do in a scenario like this, and then they may have key persons be there to explain to us, In terms of the partial evacuation, we now have people now actually utilizing their emergency and evacuation plans. But instead of going to the safe zone, we'll just accept, bam, just outside. So let us assume we're going to use coats and rams. Just outside on the sidewalk, that'll be sufficient for us. If they go on the other side, or wherever they choose, that they feel comfortable. But if they just say, yo, we want to see how much minutes it will take us to reach all the way up to F.T. Williams, they go. So we will have traffic management, and here's where the police and fire and defense force come into to play, because once people are moving in these kind of things, we need to have proper control. So we are working with my colleagues in the traffic department to ensure that on that day we have good coordination.
The Carib Wave 2023 Tsunami exercise will take place on March 23rd this year. Superintendent David is asking the general public for full participation, as it would be beneficial for everyone's safety. After the break, recycling awareness campaign reaches the Dean Glassford Primary School, and water tanks at schools and health centers welcomed. Stay with us.
Here are your Horsford's Value Mart IGA specials from February 23rd to March 8th. Now our Blue Tag specials. Essential Everyday Baking Chips, just $10.99. Duncan Hines Fudge Brownies, $5.99. Kellogg's Pastries, just $10.99. Essential Everyday Apple Sauces, just $11.99 each. Sunny Delights, Tangy and Smooth, $4.99. Eggo Waffles, $13.99. And now, our very low weekly value deals. Pringles chips are just $8.49. Essential Everyday Croutons, $5.99. Essential Everyday Cornflakes, $8.99. Colgate Toothpaste, $8.99. Extra Liquid Detergent, $22.99. And Dial Soap is just $9.99. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
Want to get away? Now you can.
Stop standing in long ATM lines to withdraw cash. Use your national debit or black cards to complete a wide variety of transactions at supermarkets, variety stores, gas stations, pharmacies, and more. Shop online at the most popular websites and stores for quality brands using your national debit or black cards. And take back your time to enjoy all the things that you love to do. Remember, instead of waiting in long ATM lines to withdraw cash, use your National Bank cards today.
National Bank, always here.
We embarked a couple of years ago on a transformation program, and that is essentially to push the company into the 21st century. We're seeking to continue to be relevant, continue to be the leader in the business community, because if you stand still, somebody else is moving ahead of you.
We now employ about 110 persons on Nevis across the group. Back then we probably had half of them.
TBC impacted people's lives. I have about a handful of people who will tell you, TBC is my life.
Supporting stakeholders, obviously very, very strong and committed staff, and customers who believe in us.
Well, the scholarship program is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best in St. Kitts.
Almost every year you get a student who says, one day I'm going to be Prime Minister.
I was interviewing for the Warrell Tyson Scholarship Program. Eventually was told a few weeks later that I was a successful recipient. Those soft skills, I think, were tremendous and still serve me even up to today.
Welcome back. On Monday, the Dean Glassford Primary School became the 6th primary school on St. Kitts to participate in the Ministry of Environment and the Taiwan Technical Mission's bin placement program, which falls under the Solid Waste Management and Recycling Project. Through this recycling awareness campaign, plastic recycling bins are being installed in primary schools across the island, and students are being properly informed on what should be recycled and the significance of recycling. Prime Minister and Parliamentary Representative for St. Peter's Community, Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, and Minister of Environment and Climate Action, Honorable Dr. Joel Clark, were on hand to witness the introduction of the project at the Dean Glassford Primary School. Prime Minister Drew addressed the students and impressed upon them the need to protect the environment and, by extension, the planet.
This program is an initiative that is spearheaded, of course, with the collaboration with the Republic of China, Taiwan, and the government through the various ministries that they are connecting with. And this is to ensure that we do our part in St. Kitts and Nevis to protect the environment. And we are involving you, the students, you, the children, and we want you to learn it and to practice it at your school. And I want you also to take it home and tell your parents and your guardians what is the best thing to do, or what are the best things to do in order to protect the environment.
Minister Clark used the occasion to share a short but powerful story with the students that illustrated the dangers of improper disposal of plastic materials and its harmful effects on the planet. At the end of the session, all the students made the commitment to use fewer plastic bottles and properly dispose of them when used. From the preschools to primary schools to health centers, ongoing projects indicate the Federation is becoming more receptive to water conservation. Following the installations of several water tanks by the CARICOM Climate Change Center and funded by the European Union, representatives from the CARICOM Climate Change Center visited the areas where water tanks have been mounted as part of a two-day climate change reporting workshop for journalists that began on Wednesday. 4 sites in St. Kitts were visited: Tucker Clark and Sandy Point Primary Schools, Challengers Daycare, and Molyneux Health Center. Devon Harris, principal of the Tucker Clark Primary School, spoke of the impact the initiative has had on the students, as it is the largest primary school.
I think this initiative was a great initiative, something that we always wanted, and we are really thankful that the project was able to get off the ground. And it has benefited us greatly, because in the past we would have lost water supply a few times, and with this system now in place, we are still able to function as a school with it being here. And it puts what we have here to good use, and we're really thankful for the initiative. One of the things that we are doing at this school is we are encouraging recycling and saving energy, and I think this also helps and makes a great impact in the lives of the children. One of the things that I like as well is that the grade 6 students were able to use this exercise and write an expository piece on it. And based on research, because the gentleman who installed the water, he came and spoke to them about it, the tanks, he came and spoke to them about it, and they were able to use it and put it, make a practical aspect of it.
Meanwhile, Erwin Lawrence, deputy principal at the Sandy Point High School, spoke of the realities of the school.
From these storage tanks, this will have benefited greatly in that, one, We have a readily supply of water in the absence of the main water supply. Therefore, children, as a result, they're able to use the bathrooms. They're able to, in terms of hygiene, they're able to wash their hands after they using the bathrooms. The children having their school meals, the cleaners, the dishwashers are able to actually wash the dishes.
At the Challengers Daycare Center, it was revealed that the water tanks have not yet been connected to the building. However, the daycare's supervisor, Katia Francis, says she's anxiously anticipating it.
I was happy when I was contacted to say that the Challengers Daycare Center would be given the tanks. Now, we don't usually be affected by water shortage, but we know that water is one of the most beneficial, most important commodity. And we know that because of climate change, it's anticipated that at some point in time, there won't be drought, but there will be shortage of water. And so if we have these tanks storing water for us, then we know we have a backup plan. And so sometimes the water gets dirty as well. And so these tanks, they can come in as our secondary source of water supply.
At the Molyneux Health Center, a different system is employed to assist with water shortages there. Sylvester Bell, health planner in the Ministry of Health, explained.
The pipes are in the ground. This one in particular is gravity fed. Some of the other health centers, they have the pumps as similar to what you see at Newtown Primary School this morning. So depending on the topography and the location, a few of the systems are gravity fed. This is one of the gravity fed ones, so it's highly elevated. The lines have been connected to the building already and they run under the ground into the building. They have a direct connection from the government mains to the tank and then it feeds into the building. So it remains full all the time when the government system is. And we anticipate this can run the facility for up to 3 days minimum in case of an emergency event.
The representatives of the CARICOM Climate Change Center were pleased with the acceptance of the messaging towards climate change and the implementation of the water shortage tanks. Each institution will aim to scale up their water shortage facilities by installing solar panels to run electrical systems, adding more catchments, and separating potable and grey water to use both types properly. The establishment of an annual National Day of Prayer in St. Kitts and Nevis was described as extremely successful as thousands of people across the Federation spent time on Tuesday in prayer, praise and worship. Throughout the day, persons congregated in churches or spent time at temporary prayer stations, while others used personal time to communicate with God. The Ministry of Ecclesiastical and Faith-Based Affairs, in collaboration with the church community, organized a series of one-hour worship sessions attended by various government departments and ministries, high school students, and the general public. The sessions were held at the Rivers of Living Water Christian Center. Each one-hour session was led by a different church ministry. The day's activity climaxed at 7 p.m. with a grand session attended by cabinet ministers, senior government officials, and persons from all walks of life. Principal of the Virchilds High School, Miguel Thomas, attended one of the morning sessions with 58 first form students. He welcomed the national observance, noting that it is a sign that society is heading in the right direction.
I strongly think that it's something that is timely. All students need prayer, but our Form 1 students in particular, being the youngest within the school, we felt that there are certain things that they were lacking in terms of exposure, and we felt that this opportunity was one that was ideal for this cohort in particular.
Junique Eddy attended the service along with co-workers at the Ministry of Employment and Labor. He applauded the decision by the government to allow public sector workers to pray together.
Hopefully it brings a wholesome family feeling. I think once you're comfortable with the people that you work with, it would always bring benefits throughout the whole organization, whether it's in the morale of the organization, whether it's in just the overall feeling of you leaving home to go to this place to work. I think it would bring a better feeling, and overall it should bring about more output, more productivity and more happiness within ourselves as people.
Sandra McCoy of the Ministry of Education described the session as uplifting and wonderful.
Recently, we have seen an upsurge of violence again among the young people, and I pray that as our prayers go out and raise up to God, that our young people in particular would find peace and come to know God and trust in Him.
Many persons have said that the activity should be repeated later in the year, given the tremendous success of the National Day of Prayer. The St. Kitts Music Festival will be launching the roster of artists for the 2023 this weekend. According to the St. Kitts Tourism Authority, the artist unveiling will take place on Sunday at 6 p.m. at the St. Kitts Eco Park. Dubbed the Big Reveal, the unveiling will also celebrate the 25th anniversary of the St. Kitts Music Festival. The event will also be streamed live on the authority's Facebook page. Coming up in regional news, Brazilian government gives 60 days to register